Hi, I'm Michaela Hahn, and I'm going to discuss gender issues in disaster and ways we can address them to save lives. Why do we care about gender differences in a disaster? Gender differences impact all facets of society. For example, women, boys, and girls are 14 times more likely than men to die during a disaster, and the numbers are so significant that they reduce women's life expectancies more than men's. In cases where women had the ability to swim, the overall mortality rate was reduced by more than 60%. Teaching women and girls to swim when it is not traditional to do so has saved lives in flood-prone areas. In poor socioeconomic areas and societies, more disaster victims are women and children. Business and family gender roles can be impacted by disaster and thus affect society, family, and individual livelihoods. During and following a disaster, women are exposed to increased domestic and sexual violence. Many even avoid using shelters for fear of being sexually assaulted. Gender issues. Social, economic, physical, and biological differences between genders affect all phases of emergency management. Understanding gender differences can save lives and prevent injuries. What actions can we take to improve the response phase? Recognize gender and cultural differences during the emergency needs assessment. Include people of different genders and cultures in emergency response teams. Provide gender-appropriate items in relief packages. Ensure suitable safe accommodation including water and hygiene. In the recovery phase, we need to recognize gender and cultural differences in order to facilitate the recovery process with appropriate aid and support. One of the most important areas of post-disaster recovery for both men and women is the restoration of economic opportunities to replace those that were lost. We also need to include different genders and cultures from all social and economic groupings in disaster-affected communities and recovering housing teams. Some reconstruction efforts have resulted in near-empty settlements or the recreation of unsafe living conditions because of lack of understanding of the livelihood and social needs of the inhabitants. In the preparation and or mitigation phase, we need to encourage women and men's active involvement in emergency management planning, training, and execution activities. Ensure early warning information reaches all diverse segments of the community. For example, in South Africa, male farmers listen for climate information on the radio, while female farmers expect the information by personal contact with an extension officer or through the school. If only a radio is used, then many do not even receive warning of an imminent event. We also need to improve disaster preparedness training for a diverse population. Perform risk mapping that accounts for different gender perspectives of risk and vulnerabilities. Encourage/challenge respected leaders and organizations to advocate for gender inclusiveness in emergency management, planning, training, and execution. In summary, realizing gender differences and inclusiveness in a disaster requires better access to resources by women, increased active participation and leadership by women in the emergency management planning and execution process, and also respect for women's rights. Understanding gender differences can save lives and prevent injuries.